The director of football from Salernitana, Morgan De Santis, former goalkeeper from Napoli, from Roma, now he's director of football at Salernitana, says the following about the situation. Hey guys, welcome back from Fabrizio Romano here on the channel. As every single day the transfer market is closed, but we are always here. If you are part of our family here on YouTube, you know that videos are always gonna be here every single day. And today, guys, we touch on many points, starting from a big fight had on deadline day, and we will touch on that, but also Chalobah, Sergio Ramos, Eze from Crystal Palace. Let's jump into it together. And so guys, let me start with the big fight had in the last 24 hours of the transfer window between a Premier League club and an Italian club. What happened? On Thursday night, Wolves approached, according to Salernitana, with their manager, the striker of Salernitana, a very good player, one of the best strikers in Serie A last season, and already started with very good skills also this season. Boulaye Dia, former Villarreal striker, Senegal striker, now playing for Salernitana, and last season already for Salernitana with very good numbers. He was top of the list in the last 24 hours for Wolves. But then what happened? The director of football from Salernitana, Morgan De Santis, former goalkeeper from Napoli, from Roma, now he's director of football at Salernitana, says the following about the situation. I have nothing about Premier League or their fans, but the manager of Wolverhampton, he mentions, disrespectful behavior, disrespectful offer. Me, the president, and all the people of Salernitana will not forget what Wolverhampton has done to us. They were chaotic hours because someone from Wolves wanted to do things right at the end. And we received a late phone call on Thursday night with talk of a loan deal with option to buy close for figures that, if I were to make public, would cause a diplomatic incident. So he mentions that Wolverhampton presented a horrible proposal for Boulaye Dia in the final hours of the market, creating a problem because they had an agreement with the player. They convinced the player was going to fight and creating an issue to Salernitana, but then the bid was absolutely not enough to convince the Italian club. And then he completes by saying, no one of their directors from Wolverhampton contacted me or anyone from our club. This created a problem to the player. So I expect the player to understand, because this is something not possible and not acceptable. So the Italian club is completely furious to Wolves, but this is something that is showing how sometimes in the final 24 hours of the market, some player could push to leave the club, but then at the end, the right proposal is needed too. It's not just about convincing the player. There is also about respect for the club, and this is what Salernitana are mentioning for the incredible story of Boulaye Dia, who is not called up for the game this weekend for Salernitana because of this fight with his club. But from Salernitana, they are not happy because of what happened with Boulaye Dia. Then I wanted to mention, guys, to you the free agents. Papu Gomes, sorry, is a free agent now from Sevilla, but Ramos is for sure the big name on the free agents market. We know that Sergio Ramos has been approached by many clubs in the last few months. He's free agent since the end of last season when he decided to part ways with Paris Saint-Germain. I can mention that in the last 24 hours, Al Ittihad, the club who was in Europe with their board to negotiate with Liverpool for Mohamed Salah, and so the Saudi club, which is trying to sign some players in the final days of the Saudi transfer market, presented a proposal to Sergio Ramos. So there is a bid for Ramos directly from Al Ittihad. The proposal is an important proposal financially, is a 2-year contract. There is a break clause. It means that next summer Ramos has the possibility to say, okay, I want to leave, and he would have that chance. So it's a 2-year contract, but with the possibility to leave the club next summer. And now it's up to Ramos. They are optimistic from Al Ittihad, but let's see what happens and what the player will decide. Ramos also has some proposal from Turkey, so there is a chance still for Ramos to go to Turkey. I also wanted to clarify something about Real Madrid. We had many rumors on Ramos and Real Madrid because of the injury of Eder Militao, but Real Madrid never considered the possibility to bring Sergio Ramos back. They consider him a legend of the club, but at the moment they have different plans. And also Man City didn't have any plan to go for Eze in the final 24 hours of the market. Today, a report coming from England mentioned that Manchester City sent a bid for £60 million for Eze from Crystal Palace super player in the last 24 hours of the market, but Palace wanted 80 million pounds. Guys, I was checking this news on all sides of the story, and what I'm told is that there was no bid. Manchester City signed Matheus Nunes because they believed that he was the player to replace, in their idea, Lucas Paquetá, who was the priority target, but the deal didn't happen. So they were not going for one more. Eze is a player they wanted because he was in the list, but they understood before signing Matheus Nunes it was not possible to sign a player from Palace because they didn't want to sell. And so that's why they decided to go for Nunes, and I'm very happy with Nunes, but they were not negotiating on deadline day for Eze. So no bid from Manchester City. Eze remains one of the players that they will follow for the future, because from what I understand, for next summer, City will go for a creative, offensive player in that position. So for a creative midfielder. This is the idea of City. The idea was, after the situation with Paquetá, to sign more kind of traditional midfielder like Matheus Nunes, and next summer to add a more creative player in that midfield position. Then, guys, one more story is regarding the situation of Trevoh Chalobah, because on deadline day for Chalobah, many things happened. Chalobah has been on the list of Inter for a long time, we know, but not in the final days of the market, because Inter decided to go for Benjamin Pavard as priority option. But in the last 24 hours, what happened is that Bayern tried to sign Chalobah with a loan deal proposal. They negotiated a loan with buy option the day before the deadline day. Chelsea always wanted a permanent transfer or nothing, but then what happened is that Bayern on deadline day sent a bid for a loan deal, no buy option. The answer from Chelsea was still not convinced, but the player started to push to join Bayern because he had a conversation with Tuchel, and Chalobah was really keen on joining Bayern, even on loan deal, but the point is that there was no agreement between clubs. So after the German market closed, Nottingham Forest came into the picture, it's true, but they were never a possibility for the player, because Chalobah said no to Forest many times this summer, already in June, in July, and again on deadline day. He was not keen on that kind of move, he preferred to stay at Chelsea, and so the situation is that Forest had a permanent transfer bid accepted by Chelsea on deadline day, 25 million pounds, and they prepared the documents in case the player was going to change his mind in the final minutes of the transfer window. But Chalobah decided to say no, he preferred to stay at Chelsea rather than going to Nottingham Forest. So, despite a very good financial proposal in terms of salary, Chalobah decided to continue at Chelsea. My feeling is that if things continue like this, Chalobah will be one of the first players to leave Chelsea in the summer, but, in January or next summer, but it will depend on how, obviously, this season will go. And so, guys, let me know your thoughts on all these stories, what happened between Wolves and Italian side Salernitana, but also the situation of Eze, Ramos and Chalobah. I wait for you in the comments. Remember to like this video, turn on the notification bell, subscribe to the channel. See you soon with Fabrizio.